Well, will you stop that?
Oh, shut up.
We're on the air.
Oh,
this
you
is
are.
show.
Sorry.
Nice going, buddy.
I'm sorry.
This is show 151 of the Ed Cohen Variety Show. We have this gentleman who looks quite like his daughter. No, he doesn't. This is, if you remember, 2 shows ago.
We're not in the air. 30 seconds.
We're not on. Was that a practice?
Yeah, we got to practice first.
We're on. Will you stop it?
I'm trying to tell you that
The
28,
thing's
30.
not counting down. Anyway, it says, oh, now we're down. Sorry, Bruce, we're down to 0.
Okay,
All right.
good.
Nice seeing you again.
Okay.
I was trying to say that 2 shows ago we had Cynthia Cooper, which happens to be Bruce's daughter, and I know everybody's thrilled about that. Huh? Okay.
I am.
I know you are. There you go, Bruce. You hear that? Can you hear the background?
Yes.
I did.
You didn't react, Bruce.
I'm trying to stay, cool.
Trying to stay awake is what's going on here. We wore masks for that because she's a doctor and was practicing, And hi, Cynthia. Nice to see you again. All right. So Bruce is with the Citizens Climate Lobby. Now, do we have a slide for this, sir? The control.
There's the one.
I know. Here I don't see it.
I can see it from here.
I know.
Can see it.
All right. So would you like to briefly go through this? Because I can't see anything.
Okay. It's an organization that's been around since about 2010. Got about 200,000 members worldwide.
Wow.
It's been advocating for a piece of legislation called the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend
It went on and
Act.
came off again. There it is. All right. The reduce of what now? Carbon?
Well, the legislation they've been pushing is the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act. But the main thrust of the organization these days is to ensure that a price on carbon is a part of whatever legislation eventually gets passed here in the near future.
Are you sure they're going to pass something?
No.
I didn't think so, because these guys just horse around, no matter who's there.
Did I told you that?
What?
It's a little frustrating. They're now starting to talk about breaking up Build Back Better into chunks. I don't know how that works in the reconciliation process, but as long as we can get some climate change legislation passed, that'll be a win.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Who are these people in the picture here?
They're just 3 of the people. The organization has been going to D.C. twice a year.
Wow.
They obviously haven't done that for the last couple of years because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
But the last time that we went to D.C. in June, out of the 535 members of Congress and Senate, we had meetings with 529.
Wow.
So it's a well-known organization. We're nonpartisan. We try to be positive, but we also listen. And so we go in November and June, and hopefully we're going to begin to start doing that again this year.
We wish you a lot of luck.
I'm sorry?
We wish you a lot of luck.
Wish me luck. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So is that the only? Wait a minute. We have energy innovation and carbon.
Yeah, this is the legislation that we had been pushing. Essentially, it's a piece of legislation that would apply a fee on carbon emissions at the source. So we're talking about the coal mine, the oil well, the port of entry, and that's added to the cost of fossil fuels.
Yeah.
The money is collected and returned to every American as a monthly dividend check.
Yeah, they have any idea how much this would be?
Well, it gets to be billions and billions of dollars as time goes on, because the fee grows over time.
And
it's essentially a way to change behavior for people.
Yeah.
And for about at least 40 or 50% of the population, the dividend that they receive would more than offset the increase in cost of fossil fuel-based goods.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a pretty sweet deal that doesn't grow government, and it helps people to begin to think about other ways to spend that dividend than on higher gasoline prices.
Right, right.
Are you including natural gas in this?
Yes,
Everything.
That's the cleanest one, though.
it's the cleanest one, but it's still putting CO2 into the atmosphere.
They got to put it down. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but anything you burn, they're going to get.
I know. They.
Well, there's ways to do that, like biomass and so forth. This slide that we're looking at now simply kind of encapsulates the benefits of the act. We're pretty sure that a price on carbon that increases $10 a year would get us to net zero by 2050, which is what Joe Biden wants to do. The other benefits that people don't think about are the fact that we're not using so much fossil fuel takes a lot of particulate out of the atmosphere.
Yeah, yeah.
And that saves a lot of lives.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
What's this net zero? I mean, what do you want to explain?
Well, net zero is a popular term that's being used right now that says we will take out of the atmosphere as much CO2 as we put in. And the goal for many companies is to do that by 2050.
That's going to go all over the world. I mean, everybody's going to try to do this too.
Well, part of this legislation, and this legislation may not make it. It may be just the price on carbon that gets passed.
Yeah, yeah.
But this legislation would have what's called a border carbon adjustment.
I got it.
So that, for instance, and this is just hypothetical, if China didn't do a lot about climate change and made their steel cheap, we would add a border adjustment to it when it comes into the country.
I got it.
And so it tends to level the playing field around the world over time. The European Union is going to do this. They've already said they're going to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
And Canada is going to do it. And so that's the two biggest markets into which we sell our products. So it almost forces us to have the same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
What do they call that when you slap a tax on stuff coming in?
Well, it's a tariff.
Yeah, okay, yeah. We don't get into tariff wars that way?
Well, I mean, they've got tariffs now.
Right.
But this would be based on a scientific way of saying, we've done X about climate change, you've done Y, and so we're going to tax you on the difference. Conversely, if somebody else, if we were selling products to Norway, which is doing lots and lots about climate change, they might tax our goods if we didn't have a border carbon adjustment.
I got it.
So, okay?
It goes both ways, yeah.
Goes both ways.
What does HR stand for, do you know?
House resolution.
Huh.
So it's a bill in the House. It's got 93 co-sponsors right now, all of which are Democrats. So we've got a real schism inside the Beltway about trying to get things done.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have a real schism about a lot of stuff.
Yes, we do. And I want to just talk as me as opposed to somebody from Citizens Climate Lobby. I really think that we've gotten to a point now where people are not so much denying climate change as being anxious about climate change and not knowing what to do. And Ed, you're a retired meteorologist. I've been saying for years that meteorologists might be the best way to educate the public about the problem and about solutions. I don't know whether that's happening in Massachusetts. I live in Pittsburgh, and this is, Colonel Drake's oil well is 50 miles north of me, and this is natural gas country. And so I think meteorologists at least in Western Pennsylvania, have been reluctant to talk about it because they're worried about their viewership.
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing like politics in there.
Well, you know, you were a meteorologist. Meteorologists tend to be trusted by the public, and so I just think that would be a natural way to talk to the public about here's the problem and here's what you can do about it.
Yeah, I theoretically, yeah, but I don't really know how much the public is really interested in. You know,
Well, as I said, I think they're interested now. I think there's been enough
well, I think they know about it.
critical things that have happened in this country about the heat wave in the Pacific Northwest last year, the huge fires, the floods, the hurricanes. And I think people are becoming convinced that that is at least made greater by the climate change, by the warming of the planet. And now they don't, you know, it's such an overwhelming problem. They don't know what to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And we've got a communication problem to help with that. And I just think meteorologists might be a good way, one of the good ways to do that.
Okay.
So I think you should unretire.
Oh, baby, you paying me?
And go. I don't know where you were a meteorologist, but I think you understand the problem.
You're going to pay me to come out?
Well, if you like challenges, come to Western Pennsylvania. That would be good.
Notice he didn't say pay me.
Yeah, somebody will pay you by 100,000.
Yeah, they'll pay.
There's a lot of psychic pay. In
Yeah,
what you do,
100,000 in lira probably, which is non-negotiable.
How do you know?
How do I know? The euro replaced it.
Look at that.
All right, put some money in your pocket. All
Yeah,
right.
so there's an estimate for a family of four in year 10. So the fee, as it was established in this legislation, was going to start at $15 a ton of CO2 and go up $10 a year. So at the end of 10 years, what is that? $55 a ton. And the annual dividend would be about $3,000 for a family of four.
Oh. The money put it in your pocket.
And then you have to decide how do I spend that money? For a lot of people, it's I can finally take care of my health issues that I've had all these years. Because the air is cleaner and the water is cleaner.
Yeah.
I wonder what inflation would do to 2,900 by then.
Well, it's not real good right now, so I don't know. I mean, that hasn't been an issue for the last 4 or 5 years until recently.
Yeah, we seem to have cured that, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Every time you go to the store, what?
Yeah. This slide, if you can see it, is just a bunch of links to a couple of things. It's the Ipcc is the main United Nations panel that is putting out reports on climate change. The last one they put out was in August last year, and that's where the head of the UN said it's code red. We've got to do something right now.
Before it gets worse, right?
It's going to get worse.
Yeah.
It is getting worse. I mean, it has been getting worse.
I wonder how long does it take to, I wonder how long it takes to slam on the brakes if they actually do something.
Well, I mean, I think if you began to get away from fossil fuel emissions, it would begin to help right away. The temperature is going to go up for a while because of what's already in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
We're at about 415 parts per million of CO2 in the atmosphere right now, and that's the highest in about 3 million years. And so I am encouraged about one thing. They are talking about methane control in the legislation that's being debated right now. Methane is really powerful. There's a bunch of oil wells and gas wells that displaced fossil fuel workers could be put to work plugging. I know there's money in the Build Back Better bill, several $1 billion to begin to plug oil wells, because there's an awful lot of methane leaking into the atmosphere today.
Wow.
And I'm going to take a drink. Hang on.
What are you drinking?
Water.
Don't. It looks clear. It could be vodka.
It is water.
Okay. Now, that been purified, sir?
By the municipality, yes.
Okay. We'll take their word for it.
Yep.
So.
Well, they go for China, for India, all those countries too, because they don't.
Good luck.
They don't.
Well,
what do you think?
here's the issue.
We initiate it, and do you think that everybody else is going to follow?
No. Well, what you don't know is that India and China are doing more around renewable energy than we are by a bunch.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, they're also growing their economy, and that's taking them to coal in some cases. But a statistic I saw a couple of years ago said that China is installing a football-sized solar field every day.
Wow.
I mean, they're really after.
Yeah, really after, huh?
And at COP26, this may have been missed. They've got this Belt and Road initiative going across Asia and Europe. They have pledged not to build any more coal plants outside of their own country, and that's a big deal.
Yeah. What happened?
Because they were building a lot.
What happened when those batteries they fail and they don't recharge? Where are they going to dump it? What are they going to do with it?
The old batteries.
Yeah.
That's an issue.
They haven't
I don't know
figured it
that
out
there's
yet.
a good solution for that now. I mean, you've got the same problem with nuclear.
Right.
I know there are some firms that are scaling up refurbishing batteries. I don't know whether there's a loop there or not. I just don't know enough about that to give you a good answer on that. But
I appreciate
but
it.
certainly, and certainly we got the same problem with what do you do with the windmill blades when they're done.
Right.
I think there are some answers to that in the wind right now. And if there was a price on carbon, I think that would generate more incentive to figure those things out. Because there's money to be made at this point.
What about they want to push electric cars, but they're so expensive.
Well, they are, but I understand Tesla is talking about one in the $25,000 range year after next. And Tesla, of course, is the big guy in the market right now.
Well, haven't they been having problems with their vehicles?
I'm sorry, say it again.
I thought they've been having problem with their vehicles.
Well, they've been having problem with the self-driving software at this point, but I think in terms of sales, they're going like gangbusters.
Wow.
And there's a huge market in China, but China is also developing their own EVs, and I'm sure they will be much cheaper than what Teslas have been costing in the past. And so that market just needs to mature.
Yeah.
You got time to mature?
The big issue right now is infrastructure to charge cars.
Yep.
And there's lots of money in the infrastructure bill, billions of dollars, to put charging stations across the country.
Yeah, how long do they expect that to take if they say they actually pass something like that? I mean,
well, you
takes
could
a
begin.
while.
I mean, you could begin to build more charging stations tomorrow because you know how to do it, and
work from there.
So I suppose there are permitting problems and so forth. But you could do that tomorrow, and need to do it tomorrow.
In the town here in Westford, they have it by the town hall. There's parking spaces for charging only.
Yeah, I think we're going to see more and more of that.
Yeah,
and the other thing is that the range on the cars is getting better and better. So there's a car coming out from, I think it's Lucid Motors, that's going to have a 600-mile range.
Wow.
Yeah, huge.
That's electric?
So, yeah. I mean, I can drive from Pittsburgh to see my daughter on one charge. I don't have an EV. I have a Chevrolet Volt,
Yep.
which is it's a hybrid. I can go 60 miles before I have to turn to gasoline.
Wow.
So for 95% of my driving, I never use a drop of gas.
Wow.
Man, how many cars do you have, do you know? 10?
One.
15? 20?
One.
One. Are you drinking again?
Yeah, it's good vodka.
See that? Kid said yay. All right. You hear the kids? You wanted vino, right?
I only drink fresh water, okay?
Oh, stop it.
That's it. That's all I drink.
You claim it's grape juice, right?
No, I drink water.
You do drink a lot of water.
Yeah, I do.
That's good.
Cleanse those kidneys, huh?
It certainly does.
All right.
Yeah.
So you have some more questions you'd like to ask Bruce?
Well, it seems like his intention is very, 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 very,
Yes?
very, very.
I'm hanging here.
How about inspiring?
Yeah,
It's inspired. Yeah, I feel inspired, Bruce.
He very is inspired.
Well, look, let's face it. This climate change is not going to affect the three of us very much. But
Wait a
I've
minute,
got
wait a
four
minute.
grandkids.
I'm not going.
I've got 4 grandkids that I expect all will live to the end of the century.
Yeah, you're right.
And I'm really worried about what the world's going to look like in the year 2100 if we don't get after this.
You are correct. Yeah, we all have children.
Maybe by then we'll be on Mars and messing up that planet. You ever think of that?
Possible.
Yeah. I'd say,
Elon Musk wants to go there.
well,
I think we ought to be spending our money on fixing this planet, not going to some other planet.
You are correct, Bruce. You are correct.
what's the matter with you, Bruce?
Hey, Bruce, what are they going to do? Let's say, for instance, they can take care of the cars with battery and so forth. But what happens when you have to fly to Europe from the United States?
Yeah,
if you want to go to Hawaii, you want to go to Australia, what kind of they're going to use battery too?
No, too heavy.
So what are they going to use?
I think what they're going to do, Gino, is that they're looking into what's called biofuels right now.
Okay.
Where you grow whatever. I don't know what the sources are, and they convert that into jet fuel.
I got it.
Okay, so it's not creating CO2 in the process of creating the fuel, only when you burn it. And I realize that air transportation is a big issue at this point. It's about, well, the transportation industry is about 25% of all emissions. And of that, I think airplanes are about 50% of that. Or maybe it's 15% because you get so many cars and trucks. So it's a big chunk of the problem, and it's not going to be easy to figure it out. I do know Delta flew a flight last month completely on biofuel, and it worked.
Does it smell different, the fuel?
I suppose. I didn't get behind the jet to find out. So
with your connections, why not?
No.
But I mean, you don't want to refuel. It smells near an airport with all this fuel.
Yes, it does.
I wonder what it would smell like then.
I think it's probably got to be better, but I don't know what it smells like.
Probably smells like grass or something. Huh?
Could be.
Well, they got to solve one problem first, and then they're going to try to solve the other. I'm sure.
Well, they're working on them all, and that's why we think a price on carbon is good, because it opens up financial incentives to figure this stuff out. We're going to have to go negative on emissions because there's so much in the atmosphere right now. We've got to get that 415 parts per million back down to 350 or below. And so there's a lot of research into carbon capture and sequestration that the fossil fuel industry is pushing right now. They haven't had one successful rollout of that, so I'm doubtful about that. One of the big things that we can do, I think, is to do what's called regenerative agriculture, which says you don't plow the field, you cover it with a cover crop, and you plant directly into the cover crop. Every time a farmer plows a field, huge amounts of CO2 are released.
Wow.
So stop doing that.
You mean it's been sitting there?
Yeah.
The CO2 sitting there in the ground.
CO2, there's a ton of CO2 in the ground.
The trees have it too, right?
Trees have it, so quit cutting trees.
I think the trees are releasing them in the Amazon.
Yeah,
CO2.
We've got to get Brazil to stop that. That's that's the lungs of the planet.
Yeah,
so we've got to get that to
tree
stop.
lets it go.
We got to plant trees, and everybody thinks, oh, that's a good solution, but it takes 20 years for a tree to grow.
Right.
So when you cut a big one down and plant one, that's not an equal offset. So it's a good idea to do it. It's just going to take a while, and we don't have the time. Methane capture.
Yeah.
Regenerative agriculture, in my opinion, puts a lot of CO2 back into the soil as opposed to it's coming out. That's the one
you want to have it there, but you don't want it to.
About.
They go up.
See, trees will hold it, but then they get on.
Trees hold it, right?
But after they get into stress, right? Won't they turn around and start releasing? They get under stress.
I don't think so.
Or is it when they get cut?
When they get cut.
Is it when they get cut down they release it?
Well, they get cut down, sure. That wood pellets and burning wood in your fireplace.
That's right. There was a thing a few weeks ago on. I think it was PBS, and they were talking about the wood pellet industry.
Yeah. Well, they're cutting down all kinds of pine trees down south, turning them into pellets.
Yeah, turn them into pellets. Yeah. Isn't that
that's crazy. I mean, I think pellets right now don't count as fossil fuel, but that's ridiculous. Because when you burn them, it puts CO2 into the atmosphere.
You like to chew them, right? He was with George Washington. Uh-oh, he's drinking again. Cynthia, your father's drinking. All right, I want to thank you, Bruce, because would you like to wrap it up? We have 54 seconds left here.
I just appreciate
what you're doing.
Massachusetts is one of the most progressive states in terms of doing something about climate change. If people in the state are trying to figure out what to do, there's all kinds of, go to the Massachusetts websites, and there's all kinds of programs out there for building efficiency, for rebates on cars, lots of stuff that folks can do as individuals. But the biggest thing you can do is get Ed Markey and whoever and Elizabeth to vote on climate change legislation quickly.
Elizabeth Warren there. Okay. Well, thank you, Bruce. Let's give Bruce a big hand here. Come on, let's go.
Thank you, Bruce. You take care.
Good luck. Clapping. Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Appreciate the time.
Say hello to Cynthia. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Ed Sullivan is dead, but Cohen isn't. And when it comes to weather, Cohen's smart. As New York as you get, his money's on the Mets, which goes to show that Ed's a Joe who always bets his heart. You'll hear a slick review or two from Nicky, and Cantor Something Berg will sing some song. There's weather news and shtick, enough to make you sick. You'll be glad you came along.